Okay, so today we're going to go over what's new in Creo Schematics 4.0. I'm Joshua Fontana from Boundary Systems. Okay, so for the agenda, we'll go over the short introduction of who is Boundary Systems, and then we'll get right into what's new in Creo Schematics 4. And then we'll do a short Q&A afterwards. So about Boundary Systems, we are in the greater Cleveland area, and we are the 16th fastest private growing company in the area, whose partners include PTC, Solid Thinking, eTraj, and ZWCAD. So we handle things like product lifecycle management, data management, CAD design and consulting, simulation, and also product development. So we can handle some of your project needs also. Okay, so some of our awards that have been given to us from the industry is from Inc. 5000 and also the Weatherhead 100. Other accreditations would include a Windchill certified implementer, a PTC preferred service provider, and also a PTC certified training partner. So your training and your implementation needs we can handle with no problem. Okay, so some of the solutions we offer are from PTC, Solid Thinking, eTraj, and ZWCAD. Okay, and again, if you have any questions about any of those previous slides, feel free to toss me an email at jfontana@boundarysys.com, or if you have any sales related questions, how much some of our software is, or any of our other services, feel free to contact sales. Mike Kotlowski is my sales guy. Okay, so before we get going into the rest of the presentation, I do have a poll I would like to try out. So just out of curiosity, who is currently using Creo Schematics? And if you are or not. So go ahead and try that out. Okay, just a couple more seconds and we'll close the poll. All right. Oops. Okay. So as the results show, that many people are not currently using Creo Schematics, okay? Okay, so again, if you have further questions about Creo Schematics, feel free to toss me an email. Or if you're wondering about the pricing, things of that nature, you can contact sales if needed, okay? And here we go. All right, so let's get right into what's new in Creo Schematics 4. So really in Creo Schematics 4, here's a simple list of what is new. And the big things here are your connectivity between your SID and your WID. So your circuit interconnect diagram and your wire interconnect diagram. So there's a lot more automation built into those two diagrams, okay, and transferring the information from one to another also. So as the list here says, there's more automation from your SID to WID design processes, okay. Also with component placement. So after you have created your circuit diagram and you want to transfer the information to your wiring diagram, so there's a lot more placement for your components and your connectors, as it says there, whenever you go to do that. Okay, also with deletion, so there's some automatic deletion capabilities within your wire interconnect diagrams, and then also routing within your wire interconnect diagrams too. So there's some automation built into a lot of those tools. And then, of course, at the end of the day, there's also verification to ensure everything lines up between your SID and your WID. Okay, so here within the SID to WID design process, again, it's able to automate a lot of the information from between those two diagrams. So it's able to, once you have, in this case, if you have a fiber set in your SID, then your wiring interconnect diagrams, it's able to inherit that information from your SID. And then once you place or try to place that in the wiring side, then it knows what wire to place because of the SID information. Okay, so it inherits a lot of that information relative to the fiber or the component port or the splice or what have you. Okay, so this is by default new in new designs. Okay, so if you create a new design in Creo Schematics, then all this new capabilities is appropriate. But you can also update legacy designs also by implementing a couple parameters. When placing components in the SID to WID design process in Creo Schematics 4, there's an option to show the circuit ID in the Place Components dialog. So once you have set this option and launched the Place Components dialog, you will see that the port circuit ID. Here you can see the brake light switch as part of the circuit ID 444. Okay, so the view is fully customizable, and you can also access the parameters of the selected component and view the component on the circuit sheet. Once you are on the wiring sheet, you can place the component directly from the report results. And once you have the component placed, you can change the results of the dialog to show the has wiring sheet. Okay, so as far as the automation process for the component placement, so again, at the circuit side of things, it has the information, appropriate information that you can transfer over to your wiring interconnect diagram. And the nice thing is that once you have that component in there, all your movements, like your translations or rotations or mirrors or magnifications, happen at both the component and connector level. Okay. Same type of thing happens with the deletion tools. So if you delete a connector, it will just delete. On the other hand, if you delete a component, it'll prompt you to see if you want to delete the connector also. So when placing a component on the wiring design sheet, schematics will automatically find the component that exists on the SID that you have not yet placed in the wiring interconnect diagram. When you place the component, Creo Schematics will automatically find the connector that you should have mated with the component. If the component has multiple connections, Schematics will present multiple connectors. As you place your components, the Place Wiring Components dialog box will automatically update, effectively providing you with a to-do list. So very quickly you can see how many more components you need to place relative to your SID. Okay, and then another enhancement here is just about deletion here. So the nice thing is that at the SID side, if you delete something at the circuit side, then it will prompt you to see if you want to delete the relative connector components on the wiring side also. Okay. So the same type of thing is kind of like that at the wiring side with the mated connectors. So if you have connector mated to your components on the wiring side, then it'll prompt you. But if you delete a component on the wiring side, it will not delete the connector at the circuit side. Okay, and then I actually have a short demo to show you about the deletion here. So here we have in our wiring diagram, well, let's go to the circuit diagram first, okay? So we can see here that if I delete this component in my circuit and I just hit the delete key, it's actually going to prompt me. So do I want to delete this on the wiring side also? If I say yes, and then it's going to prompt me again about the connector associated with that component. So I'll say yes here also. So we see here that it deletes on the circuit side, and then on the wiring side, that connector and the component are now deleted on this side also. So it saves you some clicks and some time. So I'm going to go ahead and undo this real quick, and then go to the wiring side. And we see if I try to delete this connector itself, then it will delete all by itself, okay? But if I delete the component, then I get the prompt saying, hey, do I want to also delete the connector associated with this component? So it gives me those prompts. It reduces a lot of errors and reduces also a lot of time whenever you are utilizing the SID and the WID process. Okay, so also with the component placement, there is some automated WID connector placements. So since you're transferring that information over to the wiring interconnect diagram from the circuit interconnect diagram, you can check to see if all the components match. So it's very much like transferring the information from Creo Schematics to Creo Parametric. There's verification tools, which we'll actually talk about later in just a minute. Okay. So the same type of thing happens with your fibers. and your connector ports. So it'll actually show you which, or highlight which ports that you need to have the associated fiber with. And then all you have to do is manually connect the dots. So here we can select this component on the SID side and see what it mates with. So just in the parameters. Then we can go over to the wiring side and place a component, and we can see within the place wiring components dialog box, there's two components not placed yet. So once we do place them and the associated connector, then we can see the dialog boxes update, and we can essentially use that as a to-do list, because then you know what to place next. So the one shape needs two connectors. Okay, and then the verification tool. So this is actually pretty powerful because it'll check the differences between your SID and your WID. So as far as your components, so if there's missing components on the WID side or mismatched mated connectors on the WID side, then it'll check that relative to your SID. Same type of thing for your connectivity. So if there's unrouted circuits or mismatched circuits, then it'll check that for you too. Another thing it'll check and verify for you is your wire gauges. So if you have missing parameters or unset parameters in this case, let's say the wire gauge, another thing that's very similar is the wire color, two important parameters. It'll actually try to verify between the SID and the WID to make sure everything lines up appropriately. So using the SID to WID process in Creo Schematics 4, you can now check the circuit connectivity in the wiring diagram and compare it to the circuit diagram. From the report results, you can navigate to the circuit diagram and see the circuit. You can also run the wiring directly from the report results. The ports highlight from the selected circuit, then you can route the wire and refresh the results from the report and see the connectivity is now all fixed. Oh, another verification tool here is within the SID to WID process, it is now possible to check the mismatches for wire gauges between SID and WID. So here you can see that this fiber, the wire gauge has not been set. By applying the data set, you can see the wire gauge and the color is automatically filtered. So you can see you need to do all you need to do is supply the insulation type, and we can perform similar checks on the wire color. By applying the data set, we can re-verify the SID to WID is good to go. Okay, so beyond the SID to WID process, that is the vast majority of the updates in Creo Schematics 4. There is some other things. So as far as default fonts, so you can control the default font and text type, text for all. You can control the default font and height for all text, that is. Okay. Also, you can utilize a pick from list. So sometimes whenever you have complicated designs, you have a lot of ports and components and blocks and fibers. It's hard to pick exactly what you want. So you can utilize a pick from list tool. Also, another new thing is that all the report results, you can sort the columns within the reports themselves, okay? So let me actually show you that real quick, those things there. So just whenever I do any one of these type of automatic reporting tools, so let me just select this one. I see it gives us the appropriate report, and then I can filter out the information here or resort them, okay? So if I'm only looking for, if I want to sort it relative to circuit ID or wire name or the full name, then I can sort all of those. So any one of these tables I can now sort easily just by selecting on the actual column header. Okay, so and just to build on the information a little bit, again here let me go to a wiring diagram. So I see my connector here. So I can move my connector, or I'm sorry, my component, and my connector moves with it. So that's nice. So and then I can rotate it and things of that nature. Okay, but on the other hand, I can also just move my connector. Okay, so and again on the deletion side, other modification, if I delete my connector, it prompts me for if I want to delete the actual or if I delete the component, if I want to delete the connector also. And also if I go to my SID, if I want to delete my component at this level, then it prompts me also if I want to delete the component and the connector at the WID level. And as you see there, both are gone. Let me go ahead and undo that. The other thing is the pick from list tool. So let me go ahead and select something here. So there we see we have the select from list tool. Let me bring that over. So there's my list tool. I can highlight what I actually want to select and then say OK, and then it'll actually select it. So that's tool is very much like the tool in Creo Parametric, where we have a pick from list tool there also. And then the last thing I'll elaborate on a little bit is one of the verification tools here. So here are your verification tools as we see. I can go to, I'm going to go to the port connectivity here. And it gives us my list of ports here that have mismatched connections or no connections. Okay. So in this case, the wiring connection is missing. So what I can do is I can route right from the dialog. So I'll select this column and say route, and then select an appropriate fiber. And we can see over here that it's automatically highlighting which port to route from. Then I can just connect my dots right to the highway. And then once I refresh my display, we see that that is now gone. So it saves you a lot of time, a lot of effort doing all that analysis just visually and by hand. Okay, and again, my name is Joshua Fontana. You can contact me here with my email or my sales guy. Also, you can go to boundarysystems.com And feel free to check out our website to register for more webinars and hands-on workshops. So let me show you that real quick. So here's our website. If you go to the events tab here, you can go to webinars and then register for upcoming webinars. We typically have one every week. So as you see, there's quite a few coming up here. And we try to mix it up quite a bit. So there's some wind chill webinars, some model check, in this case, spark analysis, manufacturing ones, flexible modeling. There's some CFD here. So the topics range quite a bit. Also, we do hands-on workshops. So hands-on workshops are free. You do need to register so we have the appropriate amount of resources available. But as you can see, we still have some coming up here. So there's a Creo 4 hands-on workshop for what's new. And we also have a Flow EFD hands-on workshop. Looks like these two have passed, but we update this on a regular basis. So if you would like more information about our hands-on workshops, feel free to contact Boundary Systems. Okay, so now I'll go ahead and take some questions. So if you have any questions, feel free to type them over in the GoToWebinar dialog. I also put some handouts in the GoToWebinar dialog too. So if you go to the handouts pull down, then I put a data sheet in there for Creo Schematics. If you're new and don't know that much about Creo Schematics, then you can check that out. And then I also put a data sheet in there for the Creo piping and cabling extension, because it relates to schematics quite a bit. So you can, for those that don't know, you can take the information from Creo Schematics from your wiring diagrams, or if you're doing piping and instrumentation diagrams, and transfer that information over to Creo Parametric, and then all that metadata gets used in your routing of your pipes, tubes, and wires, and cables, and things of that nature. So feel free to download those and check them out. Okay, I'll wait just another minute to see if there's any questions. Okay, I'm not seeing any questions come in. So again, if you do have any further inquiries, feel free to toss me an email, and we'll try to get you straightened out there. Okay, well, thank you for your time. And have a good day.